Hey, welcome back. It's Kenny, and today we're going to talk about some of my favorite board games. We're going to go with the top 10 favorite board games of mine. And we're going to start off with Lost Cities. So this is a recent one to my top 10. I played it about a month ago with my dad, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I've been playing it a lot with my girlfriend. It's a great two-player game. I enjoy you make some mistakes by yourself. It's like you draw a card and go, oh, I wish I didn't do what I just did, or you play something and your opponent takes it. You're like, oh, I just gave them something they actually wanted. So it's a really very simple, easy game to play. It's been around for a long while, and it's very quick, quick to play. So like if you want just a quick game to play when you're waiting before something, like say you're waiting before D&D or waiting before your local magic nights, you can play Lost Cities. It stores quickly in a box. You can throw it in a backpack, not that much room, and play it rather quickly. It's a great game that I enjoy. Very simple to learn, and I would recommend it to anybody who just wants a very simple and quick and easy game to play. So my next one. So we're going from a very simple game to a very complex game, and that's going to be Race for the Galaxy. And this is about a 2 to 4 player game and about an hour worth of gameplay. And I've only played it a couple times, and even I still have some troubles with some of the rules, because the last time I played, we all had a big argument on a certain rule. It had to do with one of the abilities on a card. I enjoy it. What you're doing is gathering planets to get to a certain amount, and then that triggers the end of the game. So you're gathering planets, and then you're doing abilities like wow, I can't think of what they all are. And of course, Board Game Geek doesn't want to tell me more specifically what you're doing. But you're doing specific things on your turn. Like you have cards saying, "Hey, I want to do this," and everybody does it all at the same time. They all pick from a group of cards to say what action they want to play at this turn, and then you all pick that secretly, lay it down, flip it over, and then you all do that action, what it says, and the person that played the action gets an extra bonus. But then you all do them in order because they're numbered from like 1 to I think 7, if I remember correctly. But it's a really fun game. I love it. It's a great concept. I've played it only a few times, but I loved it from the first time I played it. And it's a game that sits on my shelf that I will gladly pick up and play with anybody. It is I would say it's a little more complex with because you're trying to remember what all is there to do, keep track of planets, like who's at what on the board, and whatnot. So, my next one. So this one beat out another game. They beat out Splendor off of my top 10, and that would be Century, and then this would be the Golem edition. I've not played the base version. I have only played the Golem edition, but I thoroughly love it. It beat out Splendor off my list because it has more players, and I feel like it's a better version of Splendor. So in this game, you are collecting gems to buy golems to earn points to win the game. So you're spending gems to either buy golems or putting them on cards to get better cards to do better things. And those gem cards will tell you what you can do. You'll play the card and it'll give you 4 gems, or it'll say turn 3 yellow gems into 3 blue gems, because there's 4 different types of gems and they're different in rarity. So you're trying to gain cards to build up gems to buy golems, and I love it. It's a 5-player game. It's a fairly quick game. The end phase depends on how many players you're playing with. So it depends on how many. Like if you have more players or less players, it depends on when the game ends. But it's a great game that I love playing. Like because everybody can see the board, so you all be fighting for one card. the card that like has the most points. You'll see, and you're trying to fight who can get to that card first, and then whoever can buy it can then buy it. So it's a very easy game that I played with family and friends. I enjoyed a lot, and it is a game that I will be playing a lot. I will always bring with me if I'm going to play board games with friends or go somewhere. It's going to be one of the ones I pick off the shelf and go, yep, this is one I'm going to bring with me. And then next is Colony, which I do enjoy. I like deck building games, so this one is one of those I do enjoy. So in this one you have base cards that you're starting with, and then you are gaining resources to buy more cards. And then then you can also upgrade cards by flipping them over and giving them their upgrade ability, which will they become better and give you victory points when you do that. So then the goal of the game is to get to a certain amount of victory points and the game ends. And there's a wide variety of cards you can play with. There's some that steal cards from other players or steal resources from other players, because you have dice that you are using as resources that are in your vault that you're spending to buy cards, or spending to upgrade cards to their so you can flip them over and gain victory points or gain the better version of the card. It's a great 4-player game that goes about that takes maybe 40 to 60 minutes, and it's fairly simple to learn. I will pick it up when I want to play it. I've not played it recently, but I have introduced it to my friends, and when I want something new to play, like when I'm tired of playing some of my favorite ones that I play them all the time, I'll pick this one off the shelf. Like, hey, let's give this a try. But not usually, because I'm usually playing bigger groups for game nights, so it doesn't always get picked off the shelf. But it's definitely a game that's on my top 10 that I truly enjoy. It doesn't get played as much as I could. I wish it had a little more players. If it had just 5, then I'd probably play it more often. But my game groups are usually 5-6 players, so some of the games I play are more catered to bigger groups. And with that is a big group game. That'd be 5 crowns. I love it. Sometimes I love playing it, but during playing I sometimes hate the game. So the way the game works is you have 5 suits of cards. And then there are, I think it's 11 rounds. So you're starting at, so there's 11 rounds, I believe. And you are trying to make suits or sets of cards. So like 3 of a kind or 4 of a kind, or going 1, 2, 3, 4 in a suit. And then there's wild cards. So when you start the game, you start off with 3 cards, and the wild cards are 3. And then you play till you get to 0, or then whenever you knock, then everybody gets 1 turn, rounds over, and you add up points. So you want to get a set, and then you want the lowest amount of points as possible. So you want to get to 0 or as close to 0 as possible. And then as rounds go, you gain more cards. So when you're in round 9, you have 9 cards in hand, and the 9 is the wild. So it's a great group game that you can play. If you have it goes up to 7 players, but if you have a second deck, you can mix it in and have more players. So it's a great game. You have it as a big group, and you can see who has the highest points that comes the end, and the person with the lowest points wins. And sometimes you can be kind of mean about it. Say you're like, your hand is okay, and you're like, I'm okay with taking 10 points. You can knock right then and there, and then every other person can go, I'm not ready yet, and then they could take like 40-50 points right in 1 round. So it's a great party game. I love it very much. I play it almost every game night that I play with my family and my aunt and uncle. We play it at almost every game night. It's a great game that I love playing. Very, very simple. It goes by pretty quick. As long as you're not taking like super long within rounds, it's a very quick game that you can play as a filler. and go, hey, let's get game night started. What do you want to start game night with? Maybe you don't always want to start with those big board games. Maybe you want something simple. You can just start game night off with and get in the mood for games, like something like this. It's great. And also great for groups. And then you add another deck, do it for a big group. So if you're trying to do a big game night or have a lot of people that want to play a game, this game's great. 7 players, add another deck, have even more players. It's great. It's the one that I love and play at least twice a month for sure. And then one of my favorite games that I will say I played this game 4 times a month for 6 months about a year ago. That was when I went to my aunt and uncle's house every Friday night or every Saturday night, and we played games. We played this every single night. So that'd be Love Letter, and we usually played the 4-player version. So the premium has a different, like if you have more players, it adds more cards to the game. But we always played the 4-player version, and we got nasty about it because we knew every card, like for the 4-player version, we knew every single card and like how they worked. So we could see the cards on the table and go know how many were out or what to look for. And go, so I could play a guard, which just lets me say a card from someone's hand, and if I'm right, they're out of the round. So it's a very fast game. I forget the number of cards there are, but for some cards there's 2 of them, and then for some cards there's only 1 of them. So I think it's for the higher 3 cards because it goes from 1 to 8, and I believe the top 3 cards there's only 1 of each, and the rest there's 2 of each. So and then you're trying to gain hearts and then when you get to a certain amount of hearts, you win. So it's a very fast paced, great. You can play 2 to 8 players. It's a very simple game. Like anybody can understand how it works because the cards tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. So if you don't know what the card does, just read it carefully, and it'll tell you this is when you play the card. It does exactly what the card says. So when we play, we add extra rules because we played it so much that we found a flaw, or not really a flaw, but this thing happens very often. So we added our own rule just for us from when we're playing Love Letter. But I love it. It's probably one of the first games I will pick up to start off game night because it's quick and easy. So I'll go, and I also have a portable version. It's about that big. It sits in my backpack, and I can bring it anywhere and play it anywhere. So if I'm with somebody and we're just like waiting for something, I was like, hey, you want to play a quick game? I got it in my backpack right here. So great game. It can get a little competitive when you're going throwing down a card and you're declaring a card and then they're out, and it gets salty. Especially when you play a guard first turn and guess their card and they're out for the rest of the game until the next round. We played it a lot, so we knew what to call for, it was a fun time. But I love the game. I will play it almost every game night. I will always bring it. I will bring it with me whenever I'm going to game nights. I will bring it. It plays 8 players. Well, at least when you have the premium version. So I love it. But we're also going to talk about an alternate version of Love Letter, which would be Lovecraft Letter. So it works the same way. It just adds a different theme to it, and then it has what do they call it? Like they call it because it's Cthulhu based. So it's all monsters, and then there's like insanity tokens. So depending on how many like insanity cards you have, you become insane, and that affects how you win. So you can either win with this many insanity tokens or this many sane tokens. So it's an alternate version of Love Letter. It only plays about 6 players though, and I've played a couple times and I've enjoyed it. But I thought I'd just mention it since it's an alternate version of Love Letter. So it's very similar to mechanics. It's the same game, just with a different theme on it and just a couple of things sprinkled in. But still a great game. but it's an alternate version if you want something a little different than Love Letter. But so our next game on the list is Viticulture. So this is a wine and grape game. So the way it works is you have fields on your board, and you're trying to grow vines to make grapes, to harvest them, to make wine, to fill wine orders, to gain points. So throughout the game, so you start with a certain number of workers, and throughout the game you can buy more workers, you can buy certain buildings, certain resources, so you can plant your vines, because some vines require certain buildings or certain items before you can plant them. Like you need this to plant it, and then depending on how many players you're playing with, so each action has 3 tile spots on it, and depending on how many players you have, it depends on how many tile spots are available for tokens to be put on. So if you're playing a 3-player game, only 2 of those spots are open. So only 2 workers can be there, and then nobody else can do that. No other worker can put their token there to do that work, unless you use what's called a grande worker, which overrides that and allows you to do it. And then each round, a person gets to choose what time they wake up, and then that on that board tells you the starting order for that round. So whoever's first at the highest, it goes first. So it's a great game, 6 players. So I play it quite frequently with my friends because it has just enough players for all of us to play, and it's fairly easy to understand. It does take a long time. The games I've played have gone on for the hour and a half marks, because there's just a lot going on, and you're all trying to do the same thing at the same time, and then you go, well, I can't do that anymore because that space is full. So it's a great game. You're just gathering grapes, making a wine to fill in wine orders, and it's a game that I always bring to a game night, and I will try to play as often as I can because I do enjoy it. It's a great game. And next is a card game that I thoroughly enjoy. I play it every game night. I will always pull it out. It's one of my new favorites. It's easy to understand. The cards tell you exactly how they work. Sometimes you might have to check rules for certain things, but that is Unstable Unicorns. And it's great. It goes 2 to 8 players, so I can play with just my girlfriend and I, or I can bring it with my friends, and we can all play it. And it has a wide variety of cards. It has unicorns. It has upgrade cards, downgrade cards. So it has things that affect you, affect other players, things that happen instantly. And there's things called neg cards where you can play and go, nope, you don't do whatever you just did. So you can tell them, no, you don't play a unicorn, or no, you don't play that card, that would affect me. So the goal of the game is to play unicorns and get a certain number of unicorns in your stable to win the game. And then there's cards that give you benefits, or cards like that do things to you. They say, nope, all your unicorns are now pandas. And that meaning you can't win the game now because your unicorns are pandas and not unicorns. So unless you get rid of that card, you can't win the game. So it's a great game where you're affecting other people's boards, or telling them to put a card back into their hand and discarding. It's a great group game that I thoroughly enjoy. It goes by pretty quick because you can only do a certain number of things per turn, but the gameplay goes by pretty quick as long as you're not taking too long deciding what you're doing. If you're figuring out what you want to do on people's turns, when it comes to your turn, you know what you need to do. You can play, move on, and then gameplay goes within about 30-40 minutes. And my games have only gone around that time, no longer. They've been very quick games, and I love it. Plus, it's a cool theme, being unicorns. And next is a new favorite of mine that I played it, and then the moment I played it, I called my board game store and pre-ordered this game. And that is Wingspan. So it is a 5-player game. It does go on for a while. I have games that go on for about an hour or more. It is a long game, but it's pretty easy to understand. The way it works is you are trying to gather resources to pay for birds to put on your board, and those birds, as you play them or as you do things on the board, do certain things. Some birds only do a thing once. Sometimes birds do multiple things as you play them. So if you do a feature, you'd go across your board and each bird would activate. And then some birds activate on other people's turns. Some birds do different things. And it's a really interesting game that I really enjoy. I love the expansion. They gave us new birds. And I have played it quite a few times with my friends. They thoroughly enjoy it. It's a great, because you're building an aviary. So you have all your different birds on your board. You're trying to gain resources or get more birds, because each bird gives you points towards the end, and then at the end you add up points depending on different things, depending on cards tucked, how many eggs you have, how much food you have on your board, how many bird cards you have, or goals. So during the game, you before you start the game, you take a goal card that tells you, like, this is your goal for the game, and at the bottom of the card it tells you how many birds this affects. Like, it'll say birds with colors in their name, and it'll tell you how many birds have colors in their name in the deck, and it'll say like 23%. So you can decide, that seems like that doesn't seem like a lot of birds. I'll go for the one that says 40% of birds have crown in their name. Like, cool. That means that's a bigger chance for me to find those birds than it would be for that 20%. And then you add up all those points, and then whoever has the highest points wins. It's a great game. I've loved it since I played it. And I mean it. The moment after I got done playing the game, I called my local game store and I pre-ordered a copy of it because I loved it that much, and I've played it many times since. It's a great game, and I'm hoping they keep bringing out expansions for it, like adding more birds to the game or adding other things to it. And pretty soon I'm gonna be adding some tokens I found online for it to make it look more interesting, because I love the game so much. It's a great. I love deck building games. That's what I enjoy the most, is deck building games or card games. I really enjoy those. And this is definitely a game I'd recommend to anybody. It's a great game for a group of friends to play. It's easy to understand the bird, as long as you understand the base rules and you read what the birds say. Then you're off the races, because the birds tell you exactly what they do when they do it. They either affect you now or later or immediately, and then you just have to keep track of when they go off. So, and finally, my favorite board game that I have ever played is Dominion. I love Dominion. It is my favorite deck building game. The version I have lets me play 6 players, and then I also play Dominion Online, which also lets me play 6 players. But I love it. I love that unless I'm teaching somebody how to play, I have never once played the same game twice. Because the way it works is you have 10 kingdom cards in the middle, and then you have your resources off to the left. Or that's for Dominion Online, but for on card you have it right in front of the board. Then everybody starts off with 7 copper and 3 victory points, and then you would shuffle that, draw 5, put the pile to your left, and then you would then take those 5 cards and play. So the way it works is you are buying cards and building your deck as the game goes on. So everybody starts with the same cards. Same 10 cards, you shuffle, and then as turns go on, you're buying cards on the field. So you're buying better cards, or getting rid of cards depending on what the card says, because those 10 cards change. So I believe Dominion has 13 or 14 sets now, or expansions. So there's a lot of cards. So you're building your deck with these 10 cards, so you can get multiples or get as many as you can to build your deck. And then every turn you draw 5 cards, play out your hand, then when your turn's done, you pick everything up, put it in your discard pile, and draw 5 more. And then when you run out of draw cards, you shuffle your discard pile, and then it becomes your draw pile again. So your deck is constantly shuffling, and I love it. It's a game that I love playing. I teach it to everybody I can. I mostly play it online because taking it to game nights is troublesome when they are standard sized like board game boxes, and you own like 7 or 8 of the sets, and you're trying to take that to game nights. You're taking like 10 boxes just for one game. So usually I'll before I leave, I'll pick the sets I want to play that night, and then take them with me. So I'll pick like 2 or 3 sets and then take it with me. But yeah, if you're like, unless you're hosting and you're trying to take this to a game night, like, a little troublesome depending on how many sets you own, because you're taking like, because you could own 10 sets, and you're like, hey, maybe I'll take all 10 and let them choose what sets they want to play with. That's the only. So I usually play online, so then I can play any set, and then just play with my friends at any time. And I love Dominion. It's one of the board games I was introduced to. It's one of the first ones I ever played, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I'd recommend it to anybody. It's an interesting game, and unless you're teaching somebody how to play, because when you're teaching somebody how to play, they have recommended play these cards, but after that, you'll never play the same game twice unless you want to, because there are just so many cards to pick from, and those 10 cards change from game to game, that unless you're playing hundreds of thousands of times, you will never play the exact same 10 cards again. It's a great game that I would recommend to anybody. And then yeah, these are my top 10 favorite board games. I love each of them. I will take any opportunity to play them. Even if I can bring them to a board game night, I will put them in my bag, or I will put them in the car and I will take them with me. Some I love more than others, and some that are better for certain situations. Like if I had more players, then sometimes these games are going to be off the shelf more often than other ones are. But these are all great games that I would recommend to anybody. I know not all of them are themes that everybody would enjoy, but I would at least recommend you guys try the games out, see if you like them, and then pick up a copy if you enjoy them or not. If you can't, if you stumble across somebody playing this game, ask to join, get a feel for it, or play them online. Some of them are available on online websites like Tabletopia or Tabletop Simulator for a discount, for a much cheaper cost than it would be to buy the board game. So I recommend any of them. So these are my top 10 favorite board games. So go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.